Hey guys, today I'm going to be telling you about my coming out story. It's not so much a coming out story as it is a I was outed story. A little bit different, but you get the gist. I know there's a ton of coming out stories on YouTube and it's pretty much a cliche now, but I've been watching YouTube for around 10 years now, and it really helped me to watch other gay YouTubers make coming out stories and even just like talking about being gay when I was younger. And I know this whole market is very saturated on YouTube, so I'm not really contributing anything new. But because I got so much out of YouTube as a young gay guy in the closet, I thought I would, contribute my own story to it. This happened when I was 20 years old. I was in my undergrad in university. So at this point in my life, I was out to my sister and a few of my close friends, but the majority of my friends and none of my family, except for my sister, knew I was gay. I was really afraid of coming out because when I was in the closet, my parents would usually make kind of homophobic remarks, and I don't even think they really realized what they were saying. It was just kind of normal for them, and because they didn't think they were around someone who was gay, they weren't watching what they were saying. And nowadays they never say anything homophobic or anything like that, but it really sucked being in the closet because you felt like you were constantly lying to your parents. I didn't even feel like I was able to be myself or be fully myself or express myself because I was always afraid I would kind of slip up and say something wrong. And by the time I was 20 years old, I had been dating guys for around 2 years, I would say, and like going out to gay clubs and gay bars. So I was living this kind of like secret gay life that my parents didn't really know about. I would just say, oh, I'm going to sleep over a friend's house if I was going out to like a gay club or if I was going to like see a guy that I was dating or something like that. So at this point, I was dating a guy. So my parents live in the suburbs, he lived in the city. So I would usually use the excuse that I'm going out with my friends and I'm sleeping over my friend's house downtown. So one day when I was home, my aunt and uncle were visiting from out of town and they were staying over at my parents' house. My brother and sister were home, my parents were home, everyone was home. I had left my cell phone in my room to charge. And this was before I had a smartphone. This was like, what phone did I have? It was like a sliding phone. There was no passcode to get into the phone. You just kind of like open the phone and you could read all the text messages. My brother goes into my room looking for scissors or something, and he sees my phone charging in my room. He decides to go through my phone and read all of my text messages. And I had been, of course, texting the guy that I was dating. He's reading these text messages with the guy, and I'm not going to go into details about what those texts said, but they were kind of sexually explicit, you could say. Yeah, a little awkward. Later in the day, my sister overhears my brother and my parents speaking in my parents' room. So my sister's kind of listening at the door, hearing what they're saying because they're talking about me. And my sister overhears my brother telling my parents exactly what the text messages said and basically outing me to my parents. My brother was 16 or 17 at the time, and I feel like at that age, you should really, one, know better than to go through someone else's cell phone and read their text messages. That's just wrong, and you should know, not to do that. But even more so, two, he should know not to out someone, especially not to out your own brother to your parents. Like, he's not a little kid where he doesn't know what's right and wrong. He maybe doesn't understand what it means to be gay. But at 16 or 17, you know what that means, and you know the consequences of outing someone, especially to their parents. Like, it's not just some random friends you're telling, and it doesn't matter because you could just cut them out of your life anyways if they don't accept you. But if your parents find out you're gay, it could go very badly. You don't know how they're going to react necessarily. And with my parents, I didn't feel like they would react well. So it was a pretty big deal for me for my brother to out me to my parents. My sister comes to me and sits me down in my room and tells me what she heard my brother telling my parents. And I just like broke down. I was sobbing. I was crying so hard. I was shaking because I was so scared. Because I really wanted to tell them when I was ready to be financially self-sufficient, just in case they were to kick me out or something. And that decision that I wanted to make was taken out of my hands. I wanted to just leave my house, run away, go stay at a friend's house, something like that. Like I didn't even know what to do. The awkward part was that, as I said, my aunt and uncle were visiting. So they were staying at my parents' house. So they were there for 2 days after that. And my parents didn't say anything to me. I didn't say anything to my parents. I knew that they knew, but they didn't know that I knew. And it was just this unspoken thing for 2 days because my aunt and uncle were visiting and I didn't want to say anything. And I guess my parents didn't want to say anything either while they were visiting. So it was just 2 of the worst days in my life, I think, where I was in this limbo of, I don't know what the fuck is going to happen. Am I going to get kicked out? Is it going to be okay? Of course, I was preparing for the worst. So in my mind, I was like, 2 days, it's all going to go to shit. It's going to be horrible. 2 days later, my aunt and uncle leave my house. My mom comes up to me and asks me to speak to me in my room. So I go and sit down with her and she tells me what my brother told her. I was crying, of course, and I told her that I knew because my sister had told me that it happened. Yeah, she was quite accepting though from the get-go. Like she told me that she loved me no matter what, and it went really well. She still had concerns, and I think she had trouble accepting it in the beginning, but I feel like that's pretty normal, and you do have to give people, especially your parents, some time to adjust, because I know that I'm still the same person that I've always been, but maybe it might take certain parents time to understand that as well. With my dad, I don't recall having an actual conversation with him about it after that. I think it was really only with my mom, and my dad was really just not okay with it. He's more old school mentality where it's just not, you don't want your kid to be gay, and he just thinks it's wrong. He did come around eventually, so it's taken a long time. It's still not perfect with my dad. Like my dad accepts me as a person completely, but the whole being gay thing, I think he's still uncomfortable with it. Like it would be super awkward if I were to bring a guy I was dating home. That would just be a major step, and I can't really imagine that happening anytime soon, which is kind of unfortunate. My mom, it was awkward talking to her about guys in the beginning. She's still a little weird, I find, about meeting guys that I'm dating. She's met like 2, and they've both been a little bit awkward, to be honest. I don't know if my mom's gonna watch this, but sorry, I'm like giving out all this personal information, but it's my story, so I'm allowed to tell it, okay? It's not 100% perfect, I would say. Like, I don't feel I'm treated the same way as my siblings are when it comes to dating, but when it comes to everything else, it's totally fine. Like, it's really no different at all. I know the whole "it gets better" thing is so, drawn out and repeated so many times, and like everyone gets the point at this point. But in my case, it was very true that it does definitely get better. Even though it did work out in my favor, I'm still kind of peeved about my brother outing me. I still think it was wrong, and I still would have liked to have told my parents on my own terms. Lessons learned: don't leave your phone out. Don't trust anybody. If you enjoyed this story, feel free to give this video a like. If you want to continue to see more from me, feel free to subscribe. You could go check out my Instagram if you like. It's also nickkingofearth. If you're also gay, or whatever else involves coming out, I'd be curious to hear your story, how it went for you, if you had a similar experience. Yeah, so that is my contribution to the kajillion coming out stories that are on YouTube. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.